Hey y'all! Welcome back to the Quackery. I'm here to help you make sense of Taylor City Council agendas without the legalese. The November 13th, 2025 meeting is packed. $1 billion update on the Samsung TIRZ, hundreds of new apartments on North Main, millions in budget adjustments, and the very first construction contract for a brand new City Hall and Justice Center. Let's dive right into it. As always, Council starts with the formalities, calling the meeting to order, confirming who's present, opening with an invocation, and then standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Once that's out of the way, we move from the ceremonial to the celebratory. This week kicks off with two proclamations, and both celebrate the heart of Taylor's community. First up, a shout out to the Taylor Garden Club, which is celebrating 75 years of beautifying our town. That's 3/4 of a century of green thumbs and civic pride. Then we've got a proclamation for small shop days, encouraging everyone to shop local this holiday season, because every time you spend $1 downtown, you're investing it right back into your neighbors. After the feel good moments, it's time for one of my favorite parts of any meeting when the people get to talk citizens' communication. This is your time to speak directly to council about anything not already on the agenda. Each person gets 3 minutes, and while council can't respond in the moment, your comments go into the public record and often spark future action. So, if you've got something on your mind, this is your chance to quack up. Once the microphones are quiet and the timer buzzes, council moves into the more administrative part of the evening. Next is the consent agenda, the section that bundles routine, non controversial items for one quick vote. Unless a council member or member of the public pulls an item for discussion, they're all approved together. This week, it's two simple items approving the October 23rd meeting minutes and authorizing a $94,820 purchase for the fire department new hydraulic rescue tools, better known as the Jaws of Life, to keep first responders ready for any emergency. With that handled, council dives into the main event, the public hearings and ordinances, where the biggest decisions of the night usually live. First up, a financial heavyweight. Taylor's Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 2, better known as the Samsung TIRZ, is the district that channels part of our property tax growth back into infrastructure for the Samsung megasite, things like roads, drainage, and utilities. This amendment updates the financial model and removes one property, the Lindy gas site, from the zone. Here's what it means in plain English. The city expects roughly $857 million in new tax revenue through year 2054. Of that, about $805 million will go to reimburse Samsung for infrastructure. $405,000 will cover administration, and the city will retain around $39 million. And it's all pay as you go, meaning no new city debt. Plus, Samsung's reimbursements are capped, $9 million if they install $2 billion in equipment by December 2026, or $5 million if they don't. The TRZ board already approved this unanimously, so council's expected to make it official. Once that's wrapped, we pivot from billion-dollar industry to something much closer to home, housing. Now, here's a piece of good news that affects real people in real neighborhoods. At 3601 North Main Street, a developer is proposing a 21-acre community called the Taylor Apartments neighborhood. The plan includes 422 new homes, that's 384 apartments, and 38 townhomes spread across 5 blocks. Buildings will range from 2 to 4 stories, with walkable streets, civic green spaces, a pool, a clubhouse, and a bit of ground floor retail. They're planning about 763 parking spots, which comes out to roughly 1 3/4 spaces per home. The Planning and Zoning Commission approved it 6-0, and final council approval is expected in December, meaning construction could start by mid-2026. And honestly, that's a breath of fresh air. Taylor's been short on multifamily housing for years, so seeing hundreds of new homes proposed, not just single-family subdivisions, is a major win for affordability and choice. Now, from new housing to new math. It's time to talk about money. Next, council will consider a $10 million budget amendment, basically a reshuffling of existing funds to keep projects moving without new borrowing. Here's where the dollars are going. $3 million toward the A2 corridor project with Williamson County, $2 million, $30,000 for new fire department ladder truck, $1 million, $175,000 for the Tommy Lane drainage project, $300,000 for the new public works building, $250,000 for 4th Street improvements, $25,000 for the Moody Museum repaint, and $685,000 to cover HDR Engineering's contract with development services. In short, no new debt, just smart budgeting. And speaking of roads and infrastructure, that takes us perfectly into our next topic. Taylor's Level Up program is back, the annual plan for fixing the streets that have taken the hardest beating. This year includes 42 street segments totaling about 3 miles of resurfacing, with condition scores as low as 11 out of 100. Average repair costs run about $27 per linear foot. Curb work will cover around 2,400 feet across Bowser, Branch, Hackberry, and Kimbrough streets. Bidding happens later this year, construction starts early next year, and the work continues through October of 2026. So if your tires have been grumbling about potholes, relief might finally be on the way. After infrastructure, we shift gears into governance, or more specifically, behavior. The decorum policy is back for another round, though calling it revised might be generous. The only change from last time, they deleted the sentence about speakers pooling their time. Everything else stays: the 3-minute limit, the mayor's authority to remove anyone deemed disruptive, and the ban on applause or signs. So it's not exactly a major reform, but it's back up for approval tonight. Once council finishes debating that one, we turn to a new rule that's been months in the making. Next, council will vote on a new vacant commercial structure ordinance, and this one actually comes straight from the fire department. After the fire at the old Dickie Gibbons Community Center, staff realized how many vacant buildings across Taylor had become hazards, especially downtown and along East 2nd. This ordinance requires owners of commercial properties that sit empty for 150 days or longer to register with the city, name a local contact person, and submit a vacant building plan explaining how they'll maintain, secure, and eventually reuse or demolish the space. It also mandates at least one inspection per year, and the first registration fee is waived to encourage compliance. The goal isn't to punish business owners, it's to prevent fires, vandalism, and safety issues before they happen. Think of it as Taylor trying to keep empty spaces from turning into eyesores. And with that, council moves from maintaining the old to breaking ground on the new. Finally, the first official step toward building Taylor's new City Hall and Justice Center. Before construction can begin, the existing sewer line running beneath East 2nd Street has to be relocated. That's what this contract, called Guaranteed Maximum Price Number 1, is for. It's a $1,078,066 project handled by Bartlett Cock General Contractors, covering all labor and materials for the sewer relocation. And here's the best part. It's about $572,000 under budget. Construction starts in January of 2026 and should wrap up by March 17th. Once that's complete, the main building contract, known as Guaranteed Maximum Price Number 2, will follow in the spring. The new complex will combine City Hall, Municipal Court, and several departments into one modern, energy-efficient facility. Full construction is expected to run through November of 2027, with a move-in date planned for October that year. It's been years in the making, but it's finally happening. And after that major milestone, council closes out with a bit of behind-the-scenes business. To wrap up, council heads into executive session, that's the part closed to the public, to discuss 2 codenamed economic projects, Project Star and Project Seville, along with real estate negotiations for future infrastructure. So that's your November 13th Taylor City Council meeting. Samsung's $1 billion financing plan update, 422 new homes on North Main, $10 million in reallocated city funds, street and curb repairs moving forward, a new ordinance to address vacant commercial buildings, and the first contract paving the way for Taylor's new City Hall and Justice Center. You've been watching The Quackery, your unofficial guide to Taylor's local government. The more ducks in the pond, the more voices in the conversation.